Got our next lesson on the mass media, and I'm looking in particular at how is modern technology looking to change the mass media. Again, this is linked to the previous lesson on futurology and seeing how, as technology changes, as the mass media changes, how will that affect how people use it. In the book we're on page 138 to 141. So we're going to give some thought to the process of change, what's going on, to understand that change may not truly occur. I mean, the technology can change, but what we do with it may not really change. And we're going to think. Keywords are mainframe, unintended consequence, instant journalist, information overload, spam, BBM, text, capitalism, opportunity, politics, power and money. So an unintended consequence is something that happens as a result of you doing something that you didn't mean for it to happen. It's an unintended consequence. You did it, you didn't mean for it to happen. BBM, BlackBerry Messenger, is a good example of this. BlackBerry bring out a device for use by captains of industry and senior civil servants, so they can message each other. You lot hear about it, start buying them. Unintended. BlackBerry didn't mean for it to happen, but it did. Spam, the crap you get in your email inbox. Yeah, okay, all this. So let's first off, before we even start, let's think about how has change truly occurred. We're looking at the internet and mass media. But remember, the big change was when radio was first devised. That's the big change. And when the telegraph was first invented. They're the big changes. Everything since then, no matter how radical it looks, like the internet looks pretty radical change, it's not really that big. We'll talk about that more in class, or a lot more in class. But let's start off with the internet. So, 30 years ago, that was a computer. One not very powerful computer. Only governments had them for controlling missile networks and etc. etc. Yeah. And then the American military funded some big brain university types to try and make their computer systems safer in case they were attacked. So these big brain computer types thought, let's link our computers together. So if one's destroyed, the data is on another one. Therefore, the internet was suddenly born. Once they had this little network of computers between different universities, the first email wasn't very far behind. People I don't have to send a letter now. I'm going to make a phone call. I can type the message, and I've got these computers that are connected. Let's send it on those. So when the internet was invented by American computer boffins for the American military, nobody was thinking about millions and millions of pages of porn. No one was thinking about you sending stupid messages to your friends. That wasn't. So the way the internet is used today is a completely unintended consequence. So we have this incredible resource, the internet, but where does the knowledge come from? Well, we still think, well, you know what? Most of us still get most of our information from media companies, from the BBC, from News Corporation. So even though we do have Twitter and YouTube, etc., etc., we still end up getting most of the information from old sources. They're using new technology, but it's still the same old people. Another thing that's come up is there too much? Is there too much information out there? It's called information overload in the keywords. Yeah. Are we too connected? Have we got too much going on in our lives? Yeah. So there's a worry about that. On the other hand, the idea is that all this technology has in fact completely destroyed distance. It doesn't matter if your family live the other side of the world. You can still be in total and complete contact with them on a daily basis. Things like Skype, for example. So on one hand, is there too much? Question mark. Maybe there's not, maybe it's great, maybe it's destroyed distance, we can now live globally and stay in contact very easily. Another topic that comes up a lot is, okay, what the problem is that even though we have all this technology, all this information, big companies are still very, very powerful. They have the loudest voice because they have the most media. Talk about that more in class. The power of big business. And politics. Well, obviously, politicians, if they're smart, want to use this technology as a new way to give you an old message. They want you to vote for them, and the technology just gives them new ways to try to convince you to vote for them. So David Cameron's, I'll show you in class, this broadcast, this internet broadcast on his web camera. Boris Johnson's page, etc., etc. So politicians are using the new technology for fairly old-fashioned things like vote for me, please.